Hello. Thank you so much for taking some time to go on a journey of deconstructing gaslighting with me today. My hope for you is that through this video, you will gain an awareness of some things about gaslighting that maybe you didn't know before, that your understanding of what it is, who might do it, and the spectrum of how it's experienced will deepen. So why deconstructing? For me, my brain works in analogies. I'm always looking for how can I connect something to analogy. It helps ground me in the principle of things, and it also helps my clients that I work with remember what I'm teaching them. So when I was thinking about gaslighting and taking all the things I've learned over the past 8 years and trying to condense it into a 15-ish minute video, honestly, I got overwhelmed. I was intimidated. Gaslighting is a complex and nuanced topic. So I tried to think about where in my life have I been intimidated by something before and what did I do about it? So I actually thought of omelets. So I love omelets, y'all. I think they're so great. And I would go out to a restaurant and I would think, that looks so easy. I should so be able to do it. And I would get home and I would, put the eggs in and then all the things I wanted in my omelet. And every time it came to that flip, this is what my experience would be like. I'm just gonna flip this omelet and I'm having scrambled eggs, like every time. So finally, I decided that I was done. Like I'm not even going to try to do omelets anymore. It would make me anxious. It took away a lot of the pleasure from trying to create some food that I enjoy, and I love to cook. So I tapped into my former life as a restaurant worker and in the fine dining business. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make me some deconstructed omelets. It was just basically scrambled eggs with the fixings on the side. But you know what it did is it allowed eating an omelet to be approachable. It made it fun and sassy and playful, and I got to enjoy all the food. And I thought, that's what I want to do for people. I want to take this complex, nuanced thing that I believe has been oversimplified and is quite a bit outdated, and deconstruct it so that people can have a better understanding of what it actually is. So let's dive in, shall we? For me, if we're going to deconstruct gaslighting, we have to start with the history. So in 1944, MGM released a movie with Ingrid Bergman and Charles Boyer. In the movie, Charles Boyer's character systematically did things to Ingrid Bergman's character to cause her ultimately lose such connection to herself that she thought she was going crazy. Now, it didn't start out that way, which is typical of gaslighting. It started out with her being confused, going into self-doubt, starting to become disconnected from her reality to where she thought she was going crazy. It was a very poignant and powerful scene in the movie towards the end where a detective comes into her house and is talking to her about the things that he's discovered about her husband. And she thinks, oh my gosh, somebody else has seen what's going on and I'm not alone anymore in this. I'm not going crazy. And you can see how relieved she is. And then he leaves. And she panics, thinking that she literally made this guy up, that he wasn't even real. I won't give away the rest of the story because it's a great movie and I recommend that people watch it. This is a good starting place to understand what gaslighting is, but it's a starting place. That was 1944. 1960 is about when we started to see it in the therapeutic world until today it's gained more and more popularity, especially over the last couple of years. And then this year we even had the Dixie Chicks releasing a song called Gaslighter. The thing is, not much has changed about our understanding or the way that we talk about gaslighting. It's still connected, in my opinion, too much to this movie and this one kind of way to look at gaslighting with this experience and Charles Boyer's character as the gaslighter. So let's deconstruct this a little bit more. If you were to go online and Google what is gaslighting, something very much like this definition is going to come up. It's a pretty standard definition. I would like to deconstruct this definition a little bit and show you where I think that there are two very clear inferences in this definition. The first inference is that gaslighting is clearly something someone does to me. That's what it is. It's a behavior. It's about them. It's about what they're doing. You're gaslighting me. I hear it all the time. Right? That's the first inference. The second inference is that the gaslighter is aware of what they're doing and they absolutely intend to be doing the thing that they're doing, and their intention, their motive is to break the other person so that they can control them. So these are the two inferences. I believe these are just, again, a small window of what we experience. Yes, I've had some clients where this is exactly what their gaslighter was like, but nowhere has it been the full spectrum of my clients. So let's deconstruct this even a little bit more. Sorry, I had a little gnat flying in front of my face. My working definition. So over my years of working with this is the definition that I believe more accurately defines what gaslighting is. So to me, gaslighting is both a behavior and experience. You'll see that in one of my key 3 principles. When one person, through covert behaviors, that's the behavior, convinces another person that what they perceive, believe, think, or feel is inaccurate or invalid. That convincing of the other person, that's the experience. So why is this definition important to me? Well, it's because for me, when I'm working with my clients, if we can see that gaslighting is not just something that somebody does to me, which creates me being stuck in a place of being a victim, into it being an experience, then I can shift the power. This can be something that I can say no thank you to once we can identify that that's what's happening. We can say, no, I'm not going to let you convince me that what I perceive, believe, think, or feel is inaccurate through covert behaviors. We'll break that down in the next slide. The second reason why this is important to me, and this definition I believe is more accurate, is because I've seen over the years that not every person that gaslights is doing it intentionally, and a lot of them, their intention is not to break their other person. But if that's the only way that we see it, it's scary. Gaslighting is a malicious behavior, and the people that do it are monsters. If we understand that there's a broader spectrum, we can approach it with curiosity instead of fear, kind of like that omelet, right? Like I can take a look at it. Does this part of gaslighting apply to me and my relationship? Does that part apply? How much of it applies? Instead of, oh dear God, like if any of it applies, my person is a monster, right? So that's so crucial to me, to take away the stigma and make it something that people can get curious about. So I have 3 key principles that have to be understood in order to have my definition of gaslighting work. So the first one is that I keep saying it's an experience, not just something that somebody does to another person. So when you think of experience, what I want you to kind of understand is that gaslighting is an exchange between 2 people. Like in the movie when I said it didn't start with a behavior happening and all of a sudden Ingrid Bergman's character, like the next day, thought she was going crazy. No, at first it caused a little bit of confusion. Then it created self-doubt. Then it created a disconnect to her reality. There's a progression, right? So in this exchange, what happens is it's kind of like you think of a gift, right? If I were to hold out a gift to you, you would have to take it. You would have to receive it. And I'm not saying gaslighting is a gift, but I am saying there's a principle, is if somebody is saying, no, your reality and your perception and your feelings are inaccurate or invalid, you need to take mine. We have to choose, whether we're aware we're choosing that or not, to let go of or disregard our truths and take theirs. It starts when we're very young. And I break that down in my course, which I'll get to at the end. Today is the Cliff Notes. There's so much I could go into, but I'm trying to present a condensed version for you. So it's a gift. It has to be that exchange. In today's verbiage, we would call that I'm picking up what you're putting down, right? So the second way that it's important to conceptualize this exchange is that it's like a bow and arrow, right? So the beautiful thing about a bow and arrow, you can see here, if this girl didn't pull hard enough on her bow, the arrow would fall short. The same thing if it was a moving target, right? If the target could up and move, she might not be able to hit it, right? So for gaslighting as an experience, if you're a person who's in relationship with somebody who does gaslighting behaviors, if we can identify those behaviors, the behaviors being like the arrows, then we can step out of range. Sure, it still doesn't feel good to be shot at, but at least we're not getting hit by the arrows. So again, that goes to that power difference. There has to be that exchange. So let's go on to key principle number 2. Key principle number 2 is I'm not talking about a friendly debate. People are like, well, hold on, Sarah. Are you telling me that if somebody convinces me to change my mind about something, they're gaslighting me? No, no, no. That goes to that key small part of my definition where it says through covert behaviors, right? So I'm from Wisconsin. I grew up watching the Green Bay Packers with my dad, and it's very special to me. And so I love my Green Bay Packers. If I were in downtown Austin where I live and I got into a debate with a local Cowboy fan, and we each have our perceptions, feelings, thoughts about our different teams. They love the Cowboys, I love the Packers. At the end of the day, we're swapping all different kinds of statistics and why we think our team should be considered the best team. And at the end, I pull out the card and I say, okay, I gotta talk to you about this. You got Jerry World, which is impressive. I've been there. But there's nothing like Lambeau Field. Lambeau Field is like the holy land for NFL fans. And they think about it for a second. They're like, you know what? You're right. Right? Like, you got to hand it to you. You got me there. So maybe the Packers just slightly edge out the Cowboys, right? I got them to change their mind. But it wasn't through covert behaviors. I was operating with honesty and integrity and just sharing my thoughts and feelings and facts, and they ended up changing their mind, right? When we're talking about gaslighting, first of all, we're talking about covert behaviors. So I can name 3 of them for you right now. There's more, but 3 of them are lying, manipulation, and brainwashing. So people will use these tactics. Sometimes they're aware, sometimes they're not. But the key understanding about what is going on in the person that's gaslighting is they can't hold space for others' perspectives, or they won't hold space for others' perspectives, because if they do, it's either going to be 1, a threat to their sense of self, or 2, a threat to them getting their need met. I'm going to deconstruct this a little bit in my next slide. And then my 3rd principle, I've said it over and over, is that gaslighting is both a behavior and an experience. We have to look at both parts of it. So now that we've talked about that a little bit, I want to unpack who gaslights so that we can get this broader range and not just the Charles Boyer's character and not just that experience from Gaslight the movie. So who gaslights? Honestly, when I first started studying this, I was like, shit, I do this to my kids. I didn't mean to. I didn't even know that I was doing it until I learned what gaslighting was. But I absolutely was. It wasn't very often, but I did. So some of us, our first gaslighters are our parents. For those of us who had parents that were an addict or had a behavioral issue or a personality disorder, that kind of a thing, you likely experienced it quite a bit more. And it was probably frequent and fairly intense. Some of us experienced gaslighting from the religious establishments that we grew up in. All of us, I would say, experienced gaslighting behaviors from society, from the media, from our government, other people's governments. I had 3, 4 maybe clients the last time The Bachelorette was on saying, Sarah, have you been watching The Bachelorette? Which I don't, but they said, the guy is totally gaslighting the girl. So we see it all over in society. Sometimes it's our bosses or our coworkers or us to our bosses. Sometimes our friends gaslight us. I will say that about 90%-ish of my clients, the dynamic as an intimate partner is the one that is doing the gaslighting behaviors. So now that we understand the broad spectrum of who can be a gaslighter, let's look at a little bit of a pie chart to understand what that falls into, how this experience might look, right? So there haven't been a lot of studies about gaslighting, but gaslighting is considered a form of emotional abuse. So I'm borrowing this study done in 1989 about emotional abuse, which is kind of a standard study. in it, what they understood or what they found out is that most people that do an emotional abuse kind of behavior, they do it occasionally. They're not trying to, it's unconscious and it's unintentional. Then you've got 20% of people that do the emotional abuse behaviors, and they're semi-conscious. They might know that they're not being kind, that they're being hurtful, but again, they're not doing it intentionally to hurt the other person. They're doing it as a defense mechanism. And so a lot of us can relate to that when we've said something hurtful to another person, and we did it when we were hurt ourselves. We weren't trying to hurt the other person. We were in a reactionary place as a defense mechanism, right? So that's kind of emotional abuse. And then 1%, absolutely, it's intentional. They know what they're doing. It's systematic, like in the movie, and their intention is to break and hurt and harm the other person. Well, we can borrow that from gaslighting and apply it. So in order to help us get a really great visual on this, I developed a scale to show the broad range of gaslighting. So what's important to understand about my scale is the top and the bottom work independent of each other. So you can be a 1 on the top and an 8 on the bottom, like you can see here with the colors, or a 2 on the bottom and a 9 on the top. So let's break down this scale a little bit. On the top, we have frequency. You can experience gaslighting infrequent, intermittent, or frequent. That's pretty self-explanatory. So I'm going to dive into the bottom. All the way on the kind of 0 side of the scale, you have the people that do a gaslighting behavior and they're unaware that they're gaslighting. These are the people that are usually gaslighting in order to get a need met. Now, I propose that it is almost always just a presenting need and not the actual deeper need, like it was for me. My presenting need is I, quote, needed my child to behave. The underlying need was I didn't want to be perceived as a bad parent because I couldn't, quote, control my child, right? So I tried to gaslight my kid to get them to behave, right? So I didn't know that that's what I was doing. I was trying to get a need met. Again, not aware, and I corrected it once I knew what I was doing, but absolutely. And so that's an example of an unaware, okay? In the middle, we have semi-aware, and this person is usually gaslighting to protect, right? So this is somebody who might have 1 of 2 things going on: a strong shame center, or they might be an addict or having an affair or that kind of a thing. So if I have a strong shame center, I can't be wrong about anything. I might not know the way that I'm behaving, how it impacts my person. All I know is I can't be wrong. So if my person says, hey, Sarah, did you forget to turn off the lights last night? I'm like, no, I turned off the lights. But like, it's a defense. I can't be wrong even about turning off the lights. So I got to make it be about somebody else. It must have been the kids, or, you know, I think you were the last one down there, or whatever. I could try to convince them to think that it was anybody but me. And again, the same thing if it was like an affair or something, right? Like I might know that I'm lying to cover up an affair or something like that, but I'm not trying to break the other person and being a jerk. I wanted to say a different word, but I'm not being kind or loving. Don't do that kind of a thing, you know, but I'm not trying to break the other person. I'm trying to protect myself. I'm being very selfish, right? So let's go all the way to the other end of the scale. At the 10 is the Charles Boyer character. This is the person that absolutely knows what they're doing and they're trying to break the other person so that they can control them. So as you can see, there's a wide range of experiences from motives to awareness to frequency. So now that I've broken down a bit of what gaslighting is, who does it, kind of broadening our understanding, updating the definition, I want to end by telling you that I have got so much more that I would love to share with you. I've created an online course, it's a video-based course. It's called Gaslight Free. And I have a 3-phase methodology that I take people through where my goal is to help them shift the power, get clarity, so that they will never find themselves in a place ever again where they are giving away unknowingly their truth, their voice, their beliefs, taking on that their feelings aren't valid or they're too much or not enough or any of these things. where people are strongly connected to their knowing. In the way that I do that, like I said, I have a 3-phase methodology, and the first phase is deconstructing. It's like this, but even more. I deconstruct the methods and the tactics that a person that does gaslighting behaviors uses in order to do a gaslighting behavior. I deconstruct the types of kind of personas that somebody might have. All of these things are ways that we can identify the arrows that are flying at us. The second part of my methodology is insight. For me, this is the part of what causes me in that gift exchange thing, what causes me to take that gift and I don't know that I'm taking something that is actually hurting me. What causes that in me? What vulnerabilities might there be in me? I'm not victim blaming, believe me, as a person who survived this kind of abuse, I would never do that. But we do want to learn how to have boundaries and operate from a place of values, which goes into my third phase of my methodology, which is equip. I go into healthy boundaries, living from our values, team me. I have a bunch of tools that I go into that really help people take this knowledge that I teach about gaslighting and turn it into action so that they can live gaslight free. So thank you so much for taking this journey with me again today through Deconstructing Gaslighting. If you would like to learn more about my course, please visit www.sarahmoralescoaching.com. Please take very good care of yourself.